In this video, we want to explore some of the terrifying discoveries left over from ancient times. However, this does not mean that these discoveries are worthless or should be discarded. On the contrary, these astonishing findings are intertwined with dark and horrifying secrets. For instance, we might be shocked to learn that beneath a royal palace in Egypt, human hands were found, all of them right hands. Stay with me until the end of this video for an incredible journey into the ancient world, a journey filled with fear and the scent of death. But first, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to stay updated on my future videos. The first terrifying discovery in this video comes from the remote area of Tanah Toraja in South Sulawesi, Indonesia, where the bodies of deceased infants were buried in holes carved into the trees of the region. Local villagers believe that the trees absorbed the bodies and spirits of the infants over the years. They would wrap the bodies in cloth and place them inside the trees, sealing them. The numerous holes connected in the trunks of the trees in that area are evidence that this process has been carried out multiple times. It appears that dozens of dead infants were buried in each tree. This bizarre practice was only for infants who died before teething. Although it seems very strange and unbelievable, this is not the only unusual way to deal with the dead that occurs in the area. For example, it is completely natural for the people of a village to take their ancestors' bodies out of their coffins several times, change their clothes and parade them around the village, as they believe that the deceased do not signify the end of life. This ceremony ensures that the deceased can reach the afterlife and continue their journey. Bog bodies occasionally appear throughout Europe. The conditions inside peat bogs are perfectly suited to preserving the human form, helping to maintain the hair and flesh of a corpse for thousands of years. One of the best preserved bog bodies found on the continent is known as the Huldremose woman, discovered in a bog in Denmark in 1879. Analysis of her remains shows that she died about 2,000 years ago at around 40 years of age. It appears she did not die of natural causes. There are signs that she may have been a victim, which explains why she was found with clothing and jewelry in the bog. Ancient Danes believed that peat bogs were channels to the underworld and the gods, and that the gods below were responsible for providing iron ore. This created a sentiment among the people of that time that they should occasionally sacrifice humans to please the gods and ensure the continued production of iron ore. Therefore, it is likely that other bodies similar to this woman's are waiting to be discovered in other parts of Denmark. Researchers from St. John's College in Cambridge, England, experienced the shock of their lives in April 2015 when they excavated the ground beneath St. John's College and encountered the remains of over 1,000 individuals. After conducting various tests and investigations, they believe that those buried here were interred in a hospital cemetery for economically disadvantaged individuals. The burials began in the 13th century and ended in the 15th century, with approximately 1,300 skeletons found at this site, including more than 400 complete skeletons. Since the discovery, a series of records and documents from the 1950s indicated that a cemetery existed in this location, but no one had any idea of its size. The idea that these skeletons belong to impoverished individuals is supported by the fact that almost none of the bodies had coffins, and some of those buried here appear not to have even had shrouds to preserve their remains. Strangely, there is no evidence of serious illness or health issues in any of the skeletons, which raises the question of why these individuals were buried in a hospital cemetery and what they were doing in the hospital. The next discovery in our video may not need an introduction, and you might recognize it immediately. The golden death mask of Tutankhamun, the famous pharaoh of ancient Egypt. This mask is one of the most famous archaeological artifacts in the world, but forget everything you know about it so far, as I want to completely change your perspective. This mask was first discovered a century ago, in 1922, when British archaeologist and Egyptologist Howard Carter opened the tomb of the young pharaoh. What is new about this mask is a theory suggesting that it may not have been made for Tutankhamun at all, but rather designed for his stepmother Nefertiti. This theory was proposed by British metallurgist Nicholas Reeves, who dedicated much of his career to studying the 3,300-year-old mask and the period it belongs to. He has significant evidence to support his claim, showing that the inscription on the back of the mask, which was dedicated to this pharaoh, was engraved in hieroglyphics, a type of writing using symbols and shapes, translating to the living manifestation of the beloved sun god Akhenaten, the beauty of beauties and the sun disk. These emotional definitions have been found on many artifacts related to Nefertiti, but nothing like this has ever been seen on anything belonging to Tutankhamun. Thus, this could serve as proof that the mask belonged to Nefertiti. Another discovery in Egypt, made in 2012, confirms a topic that was previously thought to be a rumor or legend. Archaeologists excavating an ancient royal palace encountered 16 human hands buried in 4 pits around what is believed to be the throne room. Interestingly, none of the hands found were left hands, only right hands were present. These hands are approximately 3,600 years old, dating back to a period when the Hyksos ruled part of Egypt near Tel El Daba. The king, Khian, was the ruler of that palace, and it is almost certain that the hands were severed in homage to him. Some historical records from that time indicate that the king accepted severed hands as a form of payment for gold reserves. These hands did not belong to those claiming gold, but were severed from the bodies of the king's enemies by soldiers and presented to the king. It is also possible that they belonged to Egyptians or other enemies. Interestingly, there is no record of this practice in the Hyksos homeland in northern Canaan, suggesting they may have learned this horrific act from the Egyptians. Overall, these findings shed new light on fascinating and, albeit brutal, historical events of ancient civilizations, making them a bit clearer for us. Well, we have seen several terrifying discoveries left over from ancient times. If you have heard or read about any other specific cases similar to these, please write to me so I can make a video about it. And don't forget to share your thoughts with me, as they are truly valuable. Also, remember to like the video and subscribe. Wishing you increasing knowledge.